Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We made it to day 5. We're in the 2-3 emotional 6.5 day sequence. As always, we're going to start talking about the polarity moments first, and this is the entire 6.5 day sequence. This white rectangle is highlighting today, day 5. This is the 24-hour sequence we're going to get into and start talking about. Now, I want you to see the difference between day 4 and day 5, especially in the first person polarity moments. So, first person polarity moments are the ones that agitate and irritate us with the people in our general sphere, the people that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Be sure today that you're calm and cooperative. And if somebody misspeaks, give them an opportunity to clear it up. And if you misspeak, take the time to clear it up. You do not need conflict today because, as you can see, this agitation is about to lift and hold. What's happening here? So, at the larger level, at an E frequency level, that's a 6.5 day frequency. We've got an E that's in a polarity flip that's going to hold now going into the next 2.5 days. So this is really going to elevate stress and tension within us, inside of us that we don't see, we don't feel, but it definitely causes us to have a hair trigger or to be able to jump to conclusions or get defensive or get aggressive much faster. So really, really stay focused today. That's the number one thing we want you to do. Okay. Now, if we look at the third person, there's a little bit that goes on here at the halfway section. And when we look at the combined, you can see that combined today, when the two 12-hour sequences, so halfway through this 24-hour sequence, when those two 12 hours come together, it spikes up to 8. So really pay attention today. And obviously, we don't want to start today off in a bad way because we've got a couple more days of this coming. Now, for anybody who's paying attention to weather events right now, if weather's starting to ramp up here a little bit, especially down here in the Eastern time zone, I'm down in Florida, and we've got some serious rain that's going to extend and some serious weather that could potentially cause flooding that's going to extend through the weekend. What a surprise. Here's the electromagnetic spike that goes along with that weather pattern. Now, that's something to be discussed in other videos, but I want you to start to see as these electromagnetics go up and hold, you're going to see that that's when weather also intensifies all over the world, not just in one regional area, but you'll see that weather events and social events. Really pay attention to the news here starting today and through the weekend. You're going to see a lot of news coming out about people having conflict and all kinds of things that, cause divide and unpleasantness. So we're showing you this before it happens because we don't want you to be fooled into that. If you're fooled into the conflict, if you're pulled into that stress, all it does is this. It takes your body's ability away to stay healthy. It increases how fast you age, and it ensures that you're going to get some unpleasant disease later in your life that will make the last part of your life less pleasant. We're trying to help you have the best quality of life and slow the aging process down by eliminating all stress. Okay, that's enough about that. Let's move down here and check out the objective today. All right. So I'm getting better at explaining this. When you look at objective, I want you to think about first person perspectives. That's all of us. We're all connected to the same mathematical family. And what we're expected to do is no matter who we're talking to, whether it's somebody in our household, whether it's somebody in the community, whether it's somebody at work, whether it's a stranger you met, you should be talking to them in a way as if they're your family and as if you're trying to expand and create a routine where we're all balancing our choices so that we can all benefit from them. What do I mean? Well, right now, a lot of people are really focused in on themselves, are really focused in on their family. And what happens is it's creating an imbalance in their life. They're not thinking about what they need to be doing at the larger levels. Like, what are they doing to help our nation stay healthy? What are they doing to help our world, our environment to stay healthy? And if those aren't in your routines, what happens is during this testing sequence, you're going to be out of frequency. So you'll know if you're out of frequency. This is how you'll know. If your experiences are unpleasant, if your day is not going well, if you're not feeling well, and specifically if you have quadrants within your body that you're noticing. Let's say that you're noticing more right upper quadrant issues, whether it's headaches, sinus problems, shoulder pain, anything that's in that right upper quadrant. It means that you got to start balancing out these relationships, is what it means. And it means that in your life, you're not consistently talking to every single person about what we need to do to create a balanced routine. What can you do? What can they do? And maybe get some ideas and learn about ways that we can coordinate, communicate, and start to work together. Because if we don't do this and we continue to stay imbalanced at the individual and family levels, that is what's creating all this turmoil at the larger levels in our nations and in our world. Okay, so let's move down because now we're going to talk about the testing sequence today. And you can see that the testing sequence is a little over the place. We've got some stuff going down in the left low today. We've got some stuff going on in the upper right today. We're going to talk about all of that. Let's move down. All right, so here's the 24-hour segment. And this is the zoomed in portion of this right here. Now, we're going to talk about the electromagnetics first because this really brings it into view. First person to start. So, when this awareness or when this new 24-hour period starts, there's definitely going to be a spike here. It's going to take just about an hour, hour and a half, and then it's going to spike up, and we're getting above that 4 range. So, definitely pay attention. Now, it's going to be pretty much going this entire 24 sequence. So very important to know. Also, when you get halfway through this, so when we get to the end of the first 12 hours and the beginning of the next 12-hour sequence, there's going to be another peak here. And here it is right here. Now, how do you know when these peaks are going to happen? Well, these are the time zone offsets up here. And you're going to see that the Eastern time zone offset's about to flip in. That would be -4. When -4 flips in here, what I would want to do, or anybody that's in this time zone, take a picture. Now, that just aligned these times, and that tells you that at 12 a.m. or midnight tonight in my time zone is when this peak is going to happen. That means it might not be so easy to sleep at that time for people in the Eastern time zone. Now, remember, everybody all over the world is experiencing the exact same thing. It's just they're going to experience it at a different time because of these offsets. Very important, you know when these peaks are because that's really the only way you can prepare. The best way to describe today, concentration. Lots of mental concentration to stay calm and to communicate clearly. And if you cause any stress by accident, meaning you didn't mean to do it, you need to invest the time to try to resolve it because if you don't, it's going to keep coming back here, especially for the next couple days. Okay. All right, let's switch gears and let's talk about these alignments now. So we're going to talk about the alignments starting with the first 12 hours and then ending with the last 12 hours. All right, so the first alignment we're going to talk about is this MP. It's this guy right here. It's a 6-hour frequency. This is going to affect the left and right lower quadrant. Much more probable left is going to be felt during this time. So once you have your offset, you know when times these are going to hit. This is going to be a long one. And the reason I'm saying that the left is more likely is because the M is a year frequency, strongest one. The P is the fourth strongest frequency. It's only 12 hours. Now, even if you're not in balance with this, it's going to do damage. Either one of them are. But mathematically, it's much more certain that you're going to feel this one just because it's stronger. All right. So the next alignment we're going to talk about is this guy right here. That's the EE. So you can find the EE, you can roll it on over here, and there it is. This one's going to test upper right and upper left quadrant. Now, this capital E is a 6.5-day frequency. So during this time period, I expect people are going to notice their right upper quadrant more than they're going to notice their left. This is because this E, the small e, is only a 3.5-hour frequency. Now, either side could hurt. And if there's a hit, you want to document this. You'd want to use our technology to know the exact moment this happened. We can look at the combination of frequencies that created that unpleasant event for you. And we can help you organize a future routine that'll make sure that the next time you're tested, you feel great and you don't age and you don't have damage that's going to create disease. All right, let's keep moving here. So the last one we're going to talk about is this ME. This is also a pretty darn strong alignment, okay? And it's going to test right and left and right lower extremity. Again, left lower quadrant is much more probable because this is stronger. This is only a 3.5-hour frequency, but you could definitely feel it on both sides. Now, out of all the alignments today, this is the one that's the strongest. This is the one that's the longest. In that first 12-hour sequence, this is where you'd be wanting to pay attention. And if there's a hit here, we can help you. Don't worry about that. All right. So we've talked about the alignments, we've talked about the electromagnetics. Now let's get down here and just look at the daily, what's going to be tested today. And I'm going to do what I always do here. We're going to talk about where these macros are. Now, these are the 10 strongest frequencies during this 24-hour period. Now, there are a lot of frequencies that are testing us. These are the 10 most powerful. That's why we list these so you have a general idea of what side of your body is likely to be more noticeable today. So let's just count them up as usual. Let's start with the right side. We've got 4 here, we've got 2 here, so we've got 6 on the right, and we've got 4 on the left. So it's a little more balanced today than it was the previous two, but Again, a little bit heavier testing on the right side. Now, let's come in here and look. So when we look at the left upper quadrant, you can see the 0 to 2 ranges in the green. Not until the second 12 hours does it pop up above 2, and it's just not that active in that left quadrant. And again, you can look right here. Look at, we only have one macro, and that's in the second 12 hours. There it is. This macro is what's creating that elevation right there. So in the second 12 hours, maybe people feel some left shoulder stuff, but this is only a 12-hour frequency. This is not the most, this would not be the mathematically determined place that I would predict today. Let's put it that way. All right, so now we're going to look at the right upper quadrant. You can see in the first 12 hours, this is actually getting tested pretty heavily. And this is what's going on. So we've got an E frequency, that's a 6.5 day. This small m is a 7.5 day frequency, and this P1, which is the first 12 hours, P1 is the first 12 hours, P2 means the second 12 hours. So that's why the right upper quadrant's a little bit heavier tested in the first 12 hours, and I would not be surprised if people felt this. Okay. Now let's move on. We're going to get down to the left lower quadrant. Left lower quadrant starts out a little bit weaker here in the beginning. We're in that 3, 2, bumps up to 4. It's not until we get to that second 12 hours that it really starts to take off. Now, left lower quadrant today, and you can see this. Here's P2. So it means in the second 12-hour sequence, there's going to be some more or extra on the left. That's what you're seeing, this increase right here. And then these are the two strongest frequencies. This M, strongest frequency, this M, second strongest frequency, paired with this macro in the second 12 hours, left lower quadrant pain, very, very, very likely. Now, don't forget, even during this segment, when it's not really testing that heavily, this alignment right here is definitely going to increase things. Okay. So that's going to make a big difference as far as what people are feeling. So I would expect that left lower quadrant might be the toughest for people today out of the four quadrants that we're looking at. All right. Now let's end this with the right lower quadrant. Right lower quadrant is staying pretty busy. It's from the 3 range up to the 4, jumps to 5. So really 3 and 4 is where it's at today. And remember, a lot of the macros are stacking on this right side. And having issues in the upper right quadrant, well, the upper right quadrant obviously connects into the right lower quadrant. So these two things can sometimes amplify each other. So lower back stuff, that's the real big thing today. Okay. If I'm in practice, I expect more left side than anything, but equally it could happen to people. Just pay attention. And all this does is if you have a hit, if something doesn't go right, it just means you got some refinement to do. Don't overthink this. There's actually a solution, and it's a routine choice away. All right, let's end this thing by showing you one of the cool videos that we posted here. So in the news, there's been a lot of talk about the shark bites that happened at the end of last week. And to have two bites at the same beach with different people, I mean, three different people got bitten, that's not very common. So as soon as something comes up that says, hey, this isn't very common, we definitely want to look at the electromagnetics to see what was going on. And this video will show you that it was highly likely that day that sharks would be aggressive, and that if they were going to make a mistake and bite somebody, this would be the time period that it would happen. Definitely check that video out. This is going to change how we interact with the ocean going forward in the future. It's definitely going to make it safer for us to be in the water as well. Listen, I hope you enjoyed today's forecast, and I really hope you enjoy the shark bite video here. It really starts to bring a new element that we didn't understand to what we could be doing to make sure that we're being safe when we're in the water. Okay. That's all I've got for today. We'll see you next time.